I do think we're going to get a budget. I don't think we're going to get a government shutdown. In my view, government shutdowns are always bad. I have worked through 3. They always cost more money. They never work. And afterwards, the country suffers for it. I suggest we get together, put together a budget deal that is not going to be ideal. Let's face it, we're almost halfway through, and it's not going to be the budget deal that I would write as a conservative Republican, but it's certainly not going to be a left-wing liberal agenda. So it's going to be a blend, but we'll get that passed, and then we've got fiscal 2025 right on those heels.
Right. Well, that's what makes this almost an eye roll. My goodness, the minute you figure out a CR or a budget to last the rest of the year, the president's doing his State of the Union and dropping a budget, and we start this whole cycle all over again. Do you have faith in the Republican conference and specifically in the speaker to navigate through these waters here?
I do. The speaker was dealt.
Hasn't been coming easily, Congressman.
No, it's not. But think about the hand that the speaker has been given. We started the election cycle, this Congress, with about a 5-seat majority. Right now, with the illnesses, with the people who are out, we have a 1-seat working majority with a conference with 3 wings, a moderate wing, a center-right wing, which I belong to, and a further right wing, all of whom I respect very much. Then you've got the whole Democratic side of the aisle where we actually get little or no cooperation. So the environment is difficult. I applaud the speaker for the job that he's doing, given the hand that he has dealt on a plethora of issues. So he's doing the best job he can do given the circumstances. But let's get a budget passed. I think we will. And the worst thing that I think we could have is a shutdown. The second worst is a year-long CR, continuing resolution.
Second worst.
Yes.
Yeah. It's come up
more
than once. That would result in an across-the-board cut and an even more severe cut in defense spending. That's
absolutely
the issue here, right?
In a very dangerous world at a very difficult time. You're right.
Well, fair enough. How about we reach for something more positive? You're going to vote on something tonight, I understand, and it's going to pass.
Bill.
That alone is worth a headline.
Yes.
And it's a tax deal that seems to be making both sides happy here. This is evidence that something can get done.
Well, let me speak well of our friends on Ways and Means.
Okay.
As an appropriator, I'm going to say something nice about authorizers. They have worked very hard. Chairman Smith has worked very hard to come up with a deal that makes good sense. The tax extenders for research and development, which is very important to my great state of Tennessee, where we do so much of that work, not only in the private sector, but it is just so important. There's something really almost for everyone. It's a good bill. Once again, not the bill that a conservative Republican would just draw outright, but the reality is, given a bitterly divided House, a bitterly divided Senate, and in many ways a very ambiguous, and I'll be kind, White House, getting this tax bill passed is important. I will be a yes vote. My constituents want it. I think it's good for the country.
And it needs 2/3 to pass. It sounds like it's going to get it.
Yes.
Do you see this clearing that hurdle?
And for our listeners, that means it will be coming up into what we call suspension. There will not be a precursor rule. Why? Because the Republican House can't pass rules now. When I came to Congress, I would have never told John Boehner I was going to vote against the rule. But that's another story
This is
for another
Schoolhouse
day.
Rock with Chuck Fleischmann. This is fantastic.
That's exactly right. So bottom line, it will be up on suspension. It does require 2/3. So you will see a large, I think, bipartisan vote. And the Senate will comply, and I think the president will sign it.
The border matter seems to be a very different story. Speaker says it's DOA in the House. Is that true? Or,
yes.
Or is there's no path for this?
Not in its current form. The Speaker's right. In my prior life, my prior Congress, before I was able to accede to energy and water, for which I'm infinitely thankful, I was the ranking member, highest Republican, on Homeland Security appropriations. So I funded the wall. I did all of those things on Homeland. The reality is, from the inception, this administration has been an abysmal failure on the border. They incentivized illegal immigration. They took away the Trump-era policies.
This deal wouldn't change that?
No, it would not. And actually, the president has his own executive authority under the Constitution, in my view, and I think under existing Supreme Court precedent, to basically fix all of the mistakes that he's made. He could reinstate stay in Mexico. He could reinstate some of the other policies that would immediately secure the border. What I think, unfortunately, the president is doing, he's pandering for a political lifeline that is long left.
Well, you know how Democrats look at this. They say, listen, you guys have been asking for a deal on the border for a generation here. We're finally giving you, we'll even talk about parole. And because Donald Trump's on the phone with the speaker, it's not going to happen because this is supposed to be an election year issue. Is that wrong? Is that misguided?
I do think it's misguided. The reality is President Biden has been lost from the beginning on the border. He's listened to his friends on the left who have, again, incentivized illegal immigration. 8 million illegals have come into this country, and we don't know from where, what their agendas are.
So why not pass a bill on the border?
Well, because the bill does not go far enough. It does not do enough. And the easy answer is follow the existing laws on the books, disincentivize illegal immigration.
You want HR 2.
Yeah, I want HR 2. And we should have had HR 2.
Then again, we haven't even seen text yet.
Yes.
Are you confident of what's in this deal?
No, I am not. In terms of what the Senate is trying to do, again, I think it's an abysmal failure.
But you're confident that you know what's in the deal. You're hearing
we've heard enough things
from your office.
It's rather nebulous, and I'm hearing from our constituents. The American people don't want a Band-Aid on a stab wound.
Yeah.
The American people are going to hold Biden-Harris responsible in November for the failure on the border and really putting our country at risk.
Well, so then, of course, begs the question, Congressman, as we spend time with Chuck Fleischmann of Tennessee, what happens to Ukraine? Would there be a standalone effort to help our ally in a hot war with Russia?
Well, I think we have to talk about border. We have to talk about Israel. One of my things is I want to see Israel get a supplemental.
Well, Joe Biden says, I already sent you that request for all of that, and it got shot down.
And understanding that the offset for the IRS was a good idea. I applaud the Speaker for doing that, but it's dead on arrival in the Senate. Let's look at the political reality. We've got to get something for Israel. I think that is critically important. Having said that, with Ukraine, ultimately, I think there will be some type of an aid package. These may end up having to be standalones.
Sure.
But the border is very important. Israel is important, and Ukraine is important. Our allies are looking to us, but there's so many things going on, and I hate to be partisan right now. The pausing of the natural gas deal was just devastating to me and to our allies, and I think we just wonder what direction is this administration going? Sadly, further and further left.
Are you encouraged to see us, though, as the world's lead exporter of natural gas? This is an administration that is typically criticized for not allowing the industry to increase production. We're at an all-time high right now.
And we need to continue to be. Once again, basic economics. If your station is famous for something, it's great economics, right? Supply and demand. There is abundant oil, natural gas resources in this country. We need to incentivize production. We will do that. I know Donald Trump will do that. We'll say maybe not day one, but probably day 3. He'll fix the border on day 1, and maybe a host of other things.
That's the thing. He's a dictator, right? I heard drill, baby, drill.
Well,
we've seen reviews like this before where they didn't have to stop the expansion. Would that be a more appropriate move for you? Do the review, but allow the industry to continue to grow.
The industry has got to grow. We've
This
got
is
to
the LNG
incentivize.
review.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and all of the above. LNG, petroleum. We've got abundant resources in this country. There are oil fields in Texas that dwarf the size of the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. We've got these resources. Produce it. We will drive the price down. It will be, we want to incentivize it. I want American oil producers and natural gas producers to make money. We're capitalists. We want to incentivize that. If they make money, stockholders make money, the economy will grow, and we can get back to common sense business practices in this country. Again, there used to be a time when Republicans and Democrats disagreed on certain issues, but on the core issues of keeping our economy strong and keeping our resources flowing, we were together and our country moved forward. I want to get to that point again.